What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. Today's video, we're taking a look at the Legend Run in the Fossil Cup that we had in the season of Shared Skies with an incredibly good team suggested in the live stream chat by ZoinKSPVP. So big shout out to that trainer for giving us the team that helped us reach Legend on stream. We got a shiny Pika Libre, dude. I had an absolute blast using this team. So let's talk about the team. The team is going to be an Alolan Sandslash. Now, we're talking Shadow Alolan Sandslash here, and I know with all the Poliwraths, Lucarios, S-Cavs, it scared me to use this thing. But, trust me, it does so well into everything else that you kind of just write off those hard counters in the lead and try to make something happen in the back, which you're going to see plenty of in this video today if you just stick with us. We're going to go through 3 full sets with this team and kind of explain everything that goes on with all the different leads and teams. In the back, we're going to be supporting the Alolan Sandslash with a Mantine. Alolan Sandslash can destroy lanterns in even shield situations, so we like to use it as the lantern counter. Also does very well against most of the steals that Mantine has problems with, and has play into just about everything else that Mantine, kind of needs to get out of the way. Now, this whole team comes together with a Jellicent on the safe swap. This team looks extremely similar to the Berserker team that I was trying to run just the day before. We're using the wrong steel type, man. So this team functions very well because it has 2 very strong things that can beat those Poliwraths, S-Cavs, and Lucarios, and Alolan Sandslash is just a monster. So let's get into the battles here now after we've kind of gone through it. Once again, appreciate ZoinKSPVP for this team. Let's get into the first game here. We've got a Ferrothorn lead. Again, this is going to be a longer video than usual as we do have 3 sets to get through. It was an overall 17-3 run, but I just wanted to include the final 3 sets because those were the Legend sets, and the first set was really just me trying to learn the team. So we're staying in here on this Ferrothorn here. The opponent swaps in Jellicent. Very often when the opponent stays in with a Ferrothorn lead like that, means they have something else in the back that's not too comfy dealing with Alolan Sandslash. So we're going to go into the Mantine here. And the reason why is because I don't want to have to risk shielding a Shadow Ball. And very often what ends up happening is I see things like Poliwrath, Mantine, Pelipper, other water types that Jellicent can typically do very well into in the back behind these Ferrothorns. So we're going to take out the opponent's Jellicent. Just a little bit of a chip and dip there. I don't need all the energy in the world on Sandslash to take care of this Ferrothorn because leaving my Mantine healthy like this, it forces the opponent to go for Thunder. And that means now they have no energy. I'm going to wait out my switch timer just in case it's a Poliwrath. I want to be able to switch instantly when it comes in. The opponent has a Mantine. We are going to be able to chip with an Ice Punch here. And truth be told, I could just stick this out with my Alolan Sandslash, but I should at some point get into the Jellicent. So I was going to try to catch the Water Pulse there on my Jellicent, but unfortunately I miscounted the moves and I was off by 1. So we're going to try it again. We're going to go for the Ice Punch. The switch timers are misaligned here, but the beauty of this situation is my Jellicent's not going to get one-shot by a Power Whip unless the opponent gets a lot of damage beforehand. I try to go for the catch. I'm not successful. The opponent's throwing their energy into my Jellicent, and that's perfectly fine. They're probably trying to burn the switch clock to bring in the Ferrothorn again. But at this point, if I just save this shield for my Sandslash, I can see a path to victory here just by doing that. Now, the opponent comes in with the Ferrothorn, and I'm going to be able to fire off a Shadow Ball. This is going to knock out if the opponent does not shield this. And they do decide to shield it, and at this point, I can easily just let my Sandslash have the shield. We're very close to an Ice Punch to knock out the Ferrothorn, and using this shield, if we get to this Ice Punch before the opponent gets to a move, which we do, the opponent's Mantine can never get to an Aerial Ace plus a Water Pulse or even 2 Aerial Aces to knock us out. So the opponent concedes, and that's going to be a good game. Well played. Getting into the next battle, we got Alolan Sandslash on the lead versus a Lantern. This is exactly what I saw so many of, and I was so glad to see them here. Usually, they swap out immediately if they've got 2 counter users in the back. Otherwise, they'll stay in if they have something in the back that's maybe not quite so good, like Ferrothorn, for example, is a common one. The opponent no shields here. I'm going to shield this up because I see the value. Actually, I don't shield it. Usually, I shield this if they do, but in this case, I decide to let it go. Normally, my thought process is to shield because if they're staying in like that, I see some value in keeping the Alolan Sandslash healthy. I think in this case, I was just expecting them to probably have something like Lucario or Poliwrath in the back, so I didn't think that after we landed that drill, or after we landed the drill run, the Lantern was basically in a position where like a Water Pulse or a Shadow Ball could do enough damage to get it low. So I kind of figured I was going to run with that. I hate when I backtalk, you know, I say, oh, I'm going to do this, and then I don't do it in the games because, like, I was thinking differently. It's been a couple hours since I played the battles. I'm not going to lie, I had a headache. I had to go lay down before I did this. But we're going to go for the Surf because I don't think we're going to be able to get to the Shadow Ball here against the Lantern. We could have, but I want to get the chip damage of the shield. We fully farmed down, and the opponent has a Feral Thorn in the back. So this is pretty much why they didn't swap out immediately. So again, if I had saved my Sandslash, right? But we've still got shields here, and the opponent decides to concede. We do have a win condition as well with the Mantine, so good game. We're getting into the next game here with a Shadow Alolan Sandslash into the Shadow Magnezone. This is a very tricky matchup here, but the opponent safe swapping here honestly is nice because this means that they start this matchup when they come back in with no energy, which also tells me that they probably have 2 answers in the back to Alolan Sandslash, so I want to keep the Jellicent here. Also, Jellicent doesn't do super well into Golisopod, because it has that Shadow Claws and the Aerial Aces come out so quick, but most Golisopods in this meta running Aerial Ace and X-Scissor here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to undercharge this Aerial Ace a little bit. I want to be able to get a slight farm down. I want to see if I can get to 2 moves here. If not, like, I'm just going to kind of gauge it, right? So I know I'm going to only live 2 Volt Switches here. It's going to be a matter of, can I get to an Aerial Ace plus a Water Pulse? I kind of chicken out. I don't think I was going to make it. And so I just go for the safe play of going for the Water Pulse for the guaranteed shield here, which already puts me up a huge amount against this Magnezone, because the opponent not having a shield means that I'm going to be able to outpace to my 3rd move, or 2nd move here, whereas they're going to need 3 moves to be able to even come close to knocking me out. So I'm going to go for the Ice Punch bait here, as they would have to, I would imagine they would have to expect me to go Drill Run after getting an attack drop, and we go for that Ice Punch. We get the shield. And now it's all going to be just, I need to make sure I throw a Drill Run in the middle of their move. And they come in with a Bruxish. And I'm just like, huh? Like, this thing is basically there to counter Poliwrath. So they don't have a second answer in the back. They just wanted to get out right away, maybe get some energy. But they are running Crunch on the Bruxish. Now, I'm going to go for the Surf here. I didn't think they were going to be at a move already, but I mean, Confusion Bruxish goes hard. All I have to do, though, is go for 2 moves here against this thing. I get back-to-back Drill Runs, and we're going to be able to knock this out. The opponent's Magnezone, honestly, would have been better off staying in, I think. But we're going to be able to take it out here right away, and I'm just going to do it because it's double super effective against Magnezone, and I'm probably not going to hit this. Boom! The button works again. We're good. Good game to the opponent there. I heard y'all in the comments with the last video we did with the button. It wasn't working. We fixed it. We get some spice in the next lead here with a Bronzong. Opponent trying to be able to beat some of those other nasty things. The opponent save swaps into Escavalier. They're already ABA weak to fire, which there isn't really any fire in this meta. But if you were around for the stream after we hit Legend, we played Magcargo and we just dumpstered quite a few teams. So that's kind of a fun little thing that we can do in the cup here, but honestly, we're doing solid here. So we're going to be able to hard counter, basically, this opponent's Escavalier. We can tank 2 Aerial Aces very comfortably here, and we're going to try to get up to a Water Pulse before going down to the opponent's Bronzong. I'm not going to bother baiting here. I'm just going to get the guaranteed damage with the Water Pulse. Both Jellicent and Sandslash have incredibly good matchups here. The only thing that I have to worry about is if they have Bulldoze, which would be a problem for my Sandslash. We're able to get to another Water Pulse, withstanding some confusions, taking the Bronzong super low. I'm going to come in with my Alolan Sandslash, and my first thought is try to tank the energy, but I'm thinking if they have Bulldoze, that would be a waste of my Sandslash. So I'm just going to hope that whatever's in the back can be dealt with Jellicent, and the opponent has a Feral Thorn. This is very, or no, it's not a Feral Thorn. Oh my goodness, that's a Kartana. I saw Grass Steel and didn't see it when going back. Played a lot of teams. The opponent's triple weak to fire, so there are teams like this out there, and if anybody wants to try to take some wins with Magcargo, it's actually pretty doable. But we're going to be able to farm down here. I was going to think about going just for the Surf if we couldn't get the farm down. But thankfully, we're going to be able to get this farm down. We're just going to go for the Hex to Shadow Ball, but the opponent concedes, and that's a good game. So we're getting into the last game of the first set here with another Feral Thorn. The opponent flexing their shiny Feral Thorn. I'm kind of jealous. I don't really have a good one here. Opponent immediately swaps into Jellicent. In this case, I'm going to chip with the Drill Run. Because they swapped, I go on 6 instead of 7 because of that one turn that happens to delay. When they swap, that means that's going to be the good timing. So I'm going to go ahead and do one more Shadow Claw and then go into my Mantine here. They do have quite a bit of energy, but because they've dropped a shield already, I'm okay with dropping a shield as well if I need to. I'm going to go for 4 wing attacks, go for that aerial ace, and I'm just going to look to try and chip this thing down and win switch advantage, because I would really prefer not to have my Jellicent against the opponent's Ferrothorn. So we're going to shield up this move here. I'm hoping it's not a Surf Bait, because if it is, I'm going to scream, but they go for the Shadow Ball. It's just my luck that like trainers would like get the bait there, even though it's like it makes more sense to just throw the Shadow Ball. But we're going to be able to get the aerial ace off. The opponent trying to shield for switch advantage here, and at that point, if you want switch so badly, I'm just going to take switch. So we're going to go ahead and shield this move up here. It is the Shadow Ball. We're going to be able to fully farm down the Jellicent here and see what the opponent wants to bring in. All shields are down, but we're going to have them come in with the Ferrothorn. Once again, the Mantine being this healthy, it forces the opponent to throw the energy. They can never farm down with Bullet Seed here. So, and if they, you know, decide to try to overfarm too much, they're never going to be able to get to enough moves here, or they're not going to be able to get enough energy before I just get to so many aerial aces that they can't, like, stay alive. So the opponent's forced to go for a Power Whip here, coming in with a Alolan Sandslash. The opponent has an Escavalier in the back, and they concede because they know it's over. Jellicent has been such an incredibly strong counter swap to all these counter users. I love it so much. We get a 5-0 to start off the run here, and we're getting into the next game. Alolan Sandslash into Mantine here. And then the immediate thing that my opponent does is they come in with Quagsire. Now, I should have just come straight in with my Mantine here. I'm going to just say it right off the bat. Spoiler warning. This is the first loss that I had with this team in these sets. Well, I guess technically the third in the whole run. But this is the only loss in this whole entire series of games. And it's because I miscounted this Quagsire's energy. What I should have done here, because it's a non-Shadow Quag, I can live a Stone Edge and not have to worry about being baited as much. So I'm going to actually miscount terribly here, and this isn't completely on me. This could have been a win if I had counted better. The opponent goes for Surf, or I'm going to go for Surf. The opponent shields up the Surf, and they're actually looking to take switch advantage. They're going to shield again here, and unfortunately, I'm going to find out that switch advantage was actually everything in this game. So if I just shielded one of those Stone Edges, or even shielded twice if I had to, I would have actually been in a much better spot here. I'm going to shield up a potential Stone Edge here. As I have 2 shields, I may as well, right? And then I'm going to look to try and get this farm down. The opponent gets to another move here. I'm thinking there's no way this is another Stone Edge, right? There's no way. It's a Stone Edge. I am completely shutting myself out of this game here. The opponent has their Mantine. They have an S-Cav in the back. All I had to do was get switch advantage and I win this game. So this is on me. Definitely a play error by myself. If I had just come in with Mantine quicker against the Quag, or even if I had just come in with my Jellicent quicker against the Quag, I would have been in a much better spot here and would have been able to take switch advantage and be able to maintain an Alolan Sandslash against the Mantine, and then put my Mantine against their Escavalier. Or even if I'd come up with Mantine, I'd been able to put the Escavalier against my Jellicent, so it would have been in a great spot. But good game to the opponent nonetheless. Getting into the next game, the Nightmare. Poliwrath on the lead. We're going to immediately swap in Jellicent here, and the opponent's going to respond with a Magnezone. I want you to watch this matchup very carefully here. The opponent is over farming by a lot. I'm trying to make sure that I don't time my moves in such a way that they get a free Volt Switch through, and we're going to be able to go for Surf. The opponent lets that through. Watch how much damage these Hexes are doing, and now we're going to start getting shields from the opponent because they're just being very greedy with their farm here. The opponent also, like, they're not likely to go for a Wild Charge at this point. However, I'm interested in trying to see if I can win Switch. This is one of those times where I'm just like, you know what? Let's just see if we can make it happen. So we're going to go for Hexes now at this point. I'm going to shield everything, and I'm going to try to farm down. We're going to go for the Hex down here, but the opponent throws immediately, and I don't think this is enough for a Wild Charge, but if it is, then so be it. I was going to lose anyway. But the opponent goes for the Mirror Shot. We're able to get the farm down here, and the Poliwrath now is going to be stuck against my Mantine rather than against my Alolan Sandslash. We're going to go for the Shadow Ball here. We did get an attack drop, but the opponent does respect the Shadow Ball damage, and at this point, Alolan Sandslash comes in here and is a very happy little icy mole shrew thing. We're basically just going to do some chip damage here, and my Mantine is already looking good to win this game for us. I can just let this go, and I know that Mantine can easily take care of the Poliwrath and what's left of this Jellicent here. I'm immediately going to swap out because I was expecting the opponent to actually go into their Poliwrath right away, but they actually didn't, which was very surprising to me here. Shadow Ball is going to do quite a bit of damage, but the opponent has given me so much energy here that I'm going to try to go one before their Icy one, but again, I miscounted, made a mistake. They're going to get the Icy Wind off, so that's going to make it a little bit more difficult to KO here, but I'm still confident that we can make it happen. 2 Aerial Aces is typically going to be enough. Let's see how much the first one does. Gets them down a little under half. Just do a few more wing attacks here, and this time I know they threw right away, because if I was off by 1, then I know they're going to need another 6 counter, so I'm going to go for 4 or 5 here to go for that move, and then we're just 1 short of the Aerial Ace. The opponent not going to be able to get to a charge move here because we're just going for this Aerial Ace. We're going to knock him out. It's going to be a good game. Well played to the opponent. Going into this next game, we've got Alolan Sandslash against yet another Poliwrath. We're going to look to try and do the same thing here. If we can't win Switch, then we're just going to try to do our best, but the opponent has a Ferrothorn in the back, and that is actually a hard counter for Jellicent. The nice thing about this matchup, though, is that 2 Shadow Balls will knock out a Ferrothorn, so they are forced to basically go for a move here instead of, you know, being able to overfarm too much here, which is really nice for me because I hope that this is the only answer that they're going to have. Now, the opponent not letting me get to another move here, I'm fine to let this go. There's no reason for me to shield just to get a shield back here. Alolan Sandslash is going to come in, and I'm looking to do a full, complete farm down of this Ferrothorn. I will also eat a Thunder because a shield is not going to be relevant here. It's just putting me down shields when my Alolan Sandslash is basically stuck against the Poliwrath anyway. I'm going to go for some chip damage with the Drill Run here against the Poliwrath. We do take a counter, which is going to hurt quite a bit, but Mantine is basically going to be what if I can beat them with my Mantine. Hopefully I can. And they're going to come in with a Jellicent. We got a slight energy lead from those wing attacks we got through. We're going to throw with as good a timing as possible here, and we're going to be able to fire out Aerial Aces. Now, this basically shoots me into a position where I need to correctly shield the Shadow Balls. If the opponent baits me with a Surf and I shield it once, I'm pretty much going to lose this game. So I'm going to just try and shield up these Shadow Balls because if I take a Shadow Ball, that puts them in a position to start baiting with Surf. So I'm going to shield up these moves off the bat here. I'm going to try and keep my Mantine healthy, and I can also keep in mind, too, that the damage that we did with the Drill Run, my Alolan Sandslash is, I believe, 1 counter or 1 Shadow Claw away from another Drill Run, which gives us another out to the opponent's Poliwrath if we can get it low enough. We're going to go for this Aerial Ace here before the opponent's going to be able to get to a move. I was also considering just dropping in my Sandslash here to tank a move, but the opponent not going to be able to get to a move against the with the Poliwrath. We're going to be able to Aerial Ace down this Poliwrath here, and if I have to, I could pop in my Sandslash for a win, but doesn't need to because that's enough damage. Good game. The Jellicent here functions as basically, let's bait out the Lantern or Ferrothorn, and then give Mantine hopefully the ability to win against the opponent, you know, basically 1v2 the rest of their team. So, Quackaball, and I see Ferrothorn on lead, so I'm immediately thinking this is the Jonkus team that he put out a couple days ago where he was using Ferrothorn lead with Poliwrath and Quackaball. So I'm very much playing this game with the expectation that there is indeed a Poliwrath in the back. Also, I owe y'all a boom for that one, so beautiful. We are going to be able to get rid of that, and then the opponent basically is going to be forced to throw here if they want to get rid of this Jellicent. Again, they can't fully farm down, but they are going to be able to overfarm quite a bit, but Sandslash doesn't really care. But I'm able to keep my Sandslash aligned here and do quite a bit of damage. The opponent comes in with a Golisopod, and I'm like, you know what? That's just as good as Poliwrath. We'll take it. The opponent concedes once they see the Mantine. That's a good game. Getting into the next battle here. Getting closer. Ferrothorn on the lead. Once again, I just saw so many Ferrothorns and Lanterns when I played these sets. It was ridiculous, honestly. But we're going to do the same exact thing that we did before. One of the things that, as a coach for this, for PvP in Pokemon Go, one of the things that I preach as a coach is consistency, right? And so, and if you're not familiar with coaching, we have a link on Metafy. It'll come down here. It's also in the pinned comment description. If you want to check it out, if you're looking to get some coaching here late in the season, I'd be happy, you know, to be that person. But also, one of the things that I teach as a coach is consistency, where if you find something that works, try to continue to replicate it, especially in these limited formats like this, where you're going to see so many of the same team over and over again. Once you find something that works, stick to it and just continue to do it until it stops working. And then if it stops working, you just try to adjust a little bit. Because sometimes you'll see that some people have tendencies to do certain things in certain elo brackets, and then, you know, once you climb a certain amount and get to a different elo bracket, you may notice that trainers are doing different things. So it's just, you know, some adjustment, but try to be consistent with whatever works. The opponent has a Golisopod. I have 2 shields and they have a Ferrothorn. So basically all I'm looking to do here is try and get a shield, come in with Jellicent, land a couple Shadow Balls, because like we said earlier, the Golisopods in this format are running X-Scissor Aerial Ace. My Jellicent is very safe here. Those Aerial Aces are gonna, you know, chip away quickly, but all I'm looking to do here is just do some damage, pressure shields. My Alolan Sandslash with 2 shields here is essentially going to be able to fast move down the rest of this team. So I'm very happy here going for this Surf, getting the shields off the opponent. And then if I have to, my Alolan Sandslash gets to moves very quickly. Both of these Pokemon on the opponent's side are within Ice Punch range. So I'm just saving both shields for Alolan Sandslash. I see that as my path to victory. I'm going to let it go. The opponent is going to go for another move to get Shadow Claw down here, unfortunately for me. I do need to shield something at some point. I'm like, just in case they have the, in case they do have it in the liquidation to say. But the opponent showing both moves here, I know that I can live an X-Scissor pretty comfortably here. They come in with the Ferrothorn. They are out of shields. This Ice Punch is going to knock out, and then one Shadow Claw will be able to take out the Golisopod here. And that's basically going to be curtains on this team here. Good game to the opponent. We finish off that set. We get the 4-1 with the Quag being the only loss that we probably could have played out of and had the 5-0. But we are going to be able to get a 29-47 after stopping at 2,900. We're getting into the next game here. Alolan Sandslash into Kartana. I love to see this. This is such a good matchup, and here is the Lantern swap in. I want to give you guys a breakdown on this matchup. You all know that we win evens going straight drill run with Lantern. If they safe swap in, they're a turn behind, which means they will always be one move behind. Their pacing, Spark, and Surf is the same as Shadow Claw to Drill Run. It's 6-6-5, but because they missed that one fast move by swapping in, that means that they're always going to be a move behind. So you can always match shields and outpace. And even still, because they have Kartana, I'm fine with actually double shielding here, because if their best thing here is going to be to come in with a Lantern, they probably have a Poliwrath in the back, to be honest, or something. They come in with Escavalier, but because they're down a shield, the opponent comes in with their Kartana, and I already see this as my Alolan Sandslash can finish off the Kartana. My Mantine going to do just fine into the Escavalier, but the opponent lets the Shadow Ball through. And they're just going to go for a move here. This is a 1 game. I'm almost at a move on my Sandslash. I'm going to come in with the Mantine here, and the opponent hopefully concedes at this point, and they do. But if they hadn't, I was going to just be able to play around that, but well played to them. We're getting into another game here with the Lantern on the lead. Once again, just seeing Lantern makes me so happy, but we absolutely have to get rid of this thing with the Alolan Sandslash. Now, the opponent comes in with a Poliwrath safe swap, and it's one of my favorite things to see with this team, because you can immediately hard answer this with your Jellicent. You could also use your Mantine, but I like to use Jellicent in this case, because if I can get out of this matchup with energy, my Shadow Ball is going to do more damage even if it's debuffed than the opponent would be, or than the Mantine would be able to use like Water Pulse or Aerial Ace, right? I would rather save the Mantine for whatever's in the back, because typically speaking, if an opponent is going to lead Lantern, they're probably weak in the back to Mantine. It's just how most team comps are going to work. I'm going to try to fire off the Shadow Ball right away, but the game forces me to overtap for some reason. So we're basically getting 2 Shadow Balls off here, even though they're double debuffed. It's going to do about half of the HP's worth of damage to the opponent's Lantern. And even then, like, this sucks that they're getting an energy lead against my Alolan Sandslash, but they're already so low that it's fine here. The opponent's going to throw a move, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to save 2 shields for whatever's in the back. We have the Mantine. I bet they're probably going to swap out here, and they do. They come in with an Escavalier, and we are hard countering this team. That's the beauty of this team, is there's so many people currently running Lantern, double fighter, some kind or another. You just hard counter that whole team, and especially if you can keep your swaps quick enough, you're going to be able to keep pacing with everything that they swap, and you can usually... I don't know if we're going to see it in this series of games, but if the opponent safe swaps a Lucario, I prefer to come in with Jellicent instead of Mantine, because the threat of the double super effective Thunder Punch is too much for Mantine to deal with, and you can actually lose that matchup. So good game. So we're getting into the next battle here. We need a 5-0 to clinch Legend in this set. Otherwise, we're going to have to rely on the final set of my day. We have a Magnezone on the lead, and I'm actually very scared of this lead because it's just very tough to deal with. The opponent allows me to go past 6 so that we're going to be able to get an Ice Punch bait in here, and the opponent's now down a shield. They are going to go for a move. They're on 4, so they need 1 more. If they go for a Mirror Shot, they need 1 more to get to another move, which they do. The opponent does have double Mirror Shots, though, at 4 Volt switches. They would have had to go for Wild Charge. They had 5. I miscounted while... I'm a fool. I miscounted while I was trying to talk to you all. At 5 Volt switches, which is what they had, they get basically Mirror Shot, Wild Charge back to back. Now, I dropped both my shields, but I do believe that the Magnezone is out of energy, so I need to be able to come out of this Golisopod matchup with a Water Pulse loaded to get that final shield and not give them too much farm. So I'm going to max out on energy here, and then I'm going to go for an Aerial Ace to take out the Golisopod. It's going to be enough damage here. We're going to be able to go for the Water Pulse here. I was, again, thinking about maybe trying to bait with the Aerial Ace here, but I didn't think that I was going to be able to get to it, and which I wasn't, so it's good that I didn't try to. They're on 2 now, so what I need to do is I need to go immediately for the move, and the opponent instant swaps out. And what was that? It was an Araquanid. So here's the plan. We bank the Ice Punch. We need to come out of this matchup with enough energy to threaten the opponent with a Surf immediately. Bug Buzz and Bubble Beam are both resisted here. Jellicent just doesn't care. We're going to go for the Shadow Ball, and essentially what we need to do is we come out of this matchup with a Surf loaded already to force the Magnezone to throw its energy so that I can just go straight into my Alolan Sandslash with the move that I have banked and take it out. The opponent's Magnezone is low enough that I'm pretty sure that a Ice Punch would be enough, but we're going to max out on energy here after taking that Bubble Beam. That's fine. The Shadow Ball's enough. Going to take out this Araquanid and immediately fire off the Surf. The opponent goes for the Volt Switch down, which they're not going to be able to get. The Surf is going to knock out the Magnezone, and thankfully, despite bad odds, we get a good game here and win. Also, spicy Araquanid. I haven't seen that in a minute. We get Lantern in the next game here, and we're feeling pretty good about our odds at winning this game because most Lanterns have things in the back that are, once again, are weak to our back line. Now, I haven't seen any Registeals this whole time, thankfully for me. I was very fortunate. However, Alolan Sandslash does very well into the Registeals. Now, we match shields with the opponent's Lantern. Most Lantern players that know this matchup will know that they can live that second drill run. It's the third one that they get knocked out to, so they can take shield advantage here if they want to. But honestly, I'm very fine with this. Again, I'm still expecting them to have the counter user in the back, but the opponent also, you know, they have the Poliwrath, but my Mantine and my Jellicent don't need a shield to deal with Poliwrath, and so we swap it immediately to the Jellicent. The opponent shows us they have Pelipper. Pelipper is not respecting the Shadow Ball. They're trying to save the shield or call a bait here, which I am not doing, and immediately at this point, Mantine just wins this game for me. I'm going to let all of this energy go. In fact, I'm actually going to purposefully not throw here and force the opponent to throw this Weather Ball. I'm going to come in with my Mantine. We're going to get an energy head start with those wing attacks. We're going to be able to take out the Pelipper before it gets to another move. And at this point, we just need to be able to get to the 2 Aerial Aces and we win this game. So good game. Getting into the next game here, we got another Lantern. So many Lanterns and so little time here. We're going to be able to take the win here if the opponent stays in, but they actually swap in Lucario, and this is where I'm saying that we want to swap in to the Jellicent. We're going to go for the Surf right off the bat here. A Shadow Ball will knock out, the Surf will not, but the thing is that at this point, I can safely one shield, farm this down, and because there's no debuffs on the opponent's side, plus they built up to Shadow Ball. If they don't build up to Shadow Ball and they only build up to Thunder Punch, you can live one Thunder Punch, so if you're Jellicent, you don't need to shield that. The Shadow Ball, though, you do need to shield. But we have energy now to be able to take out a lot of HP and threaten even a shield on this Lantern here, which is important. That's what I like about Jellicent, is that, like, if you swap in on a good matchup for it, you can actually, like, snowball that energy back into a bad lead or even into a Lantern, which would normally not be a great lead. And look at that! 2 Shadow Balls. The opponent is trying to save 2 shields for whatever they have in the back. I hope it's an Escavalier because they're about to have a bad time if they don't. I'm going to actually come in with my Mantine here, and they have the Escav. We're going to be able to take this game going straight Aerial Ace. I need not do anything here. Now, you might be wondering why I didn't come in with the Alolan Sandslash. It's because the opponent had just thrown all of their energy, and I would have been able to get a nice little wing attack head start, and I was also anticipating that the opponent would probably have Escavalier or something similar to it in the back, maybe Poliwrath even. So this is basically a 1 game, and this is going to seal up a 5-0, but we're going to be just going straight Aerial Ace here, and the opponent decides not to shield that one, trying to see if they can make something happen, but they decide to concede because they know they're winning the game, and that is going to clinch up Legend for us here in this Fossil Cup. We went, again, those 3 sets, 14-1, add the 3-2 learning set. We nailed it on a 17-3 run. Once again, appreciate ZoinKSPVP for coming in to the chat on the live stream and handing us this team, giving us the keys and the vehicle to drive our way to victory. The team was extremely strong in the meta that I saw on the live stream on Saturday. So if you want to see the raw reactions and the live games and everything else, you can go ahead and check that stream out. I leave all of them up on the channel for people to watch later on. A lot more raw, you know, as I'm playing the game sort of things. But again, I just want to thank everybody who has been supporting the channel, whether it's just been through likes, watching, subscribing, or even monetarily through the Patreon, through the coaching, through anything really. I appreciate all of you guys for all the support. It has been an immense, and I know I'm just saying this because it's like the legend video or whatever, but like I had a moment today where I started gushing about it in the chat, and I just wanted to forward that to all of you who just watched the videos and maybe couldn't make the live stream. So that's going to do it for me for today's video, guys. Thank you so much again for watching and being a part of this experience. I'm hoping that, you know, the new season is going to bring some actual good updates and that we're not going to be stuck in the same old boring loop again and again and again. But then again, it's Niantic. Who are we kidding? So that's going to do it again for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye!